You know, if we don't get that Nintendo Switch 2 reveal sometime around September, I hope we do get to see even more new Nintendo Switch games and ports of older games as well, because to be honest, I do enjoy those, because they're great to have portable. And also maybe some new additions to the Nintendo Switch Online service. One pretty good kickoff until the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal, unless Nintendo wants to reveal it in September. Which, by the way, when do you guys think the Nintendo Switch 2 will be revealed? Hey guys, it's Rob here and welcome back to the Robotron Show, where we cover the latest leaks, rumors, and news and discussions from Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 10 a.m. EST, with some cool editing and animation mixed in. If you guys end up enjoying this video, drop a like and of course subscribe to the channel. Oh, and by the way, have the bell on too so you can catch the video live and watch along with everybody. In this video, we are going to talk about a new rumored Nintendo Switch game where we could see it, as well as possible news coming to the Nintendo Switch, especially when it comes to Pokemon games. That will lead into a discussion on Nintendo Directs and if Nintendo is going to do a September Nintendo Direct. And we even have a new game announced for the Nintendo Switch, as well as some fighting game news as well. Also, quickly want to talk about the PS5 Pro because there is some interesting things happening with that. Also, I do have a week off in August, so some new backgrounds, animations, and other cool things for this show are probably going to start popping up in August, so look forward to that. So Gamescom 2022 is going to be happening pretty soon, August 21st to the 25th actually, next month in Germany. Now Nintendo's not going to be coming to Gamescom 2024, but that doesn't mean that there's not going to be any Nintendo Switch games there. There could always be third party, there also could be indie games for the Nintendo Switch and games that later on would come to the Nintendo Switch, especially when you factor in the Nintendo Switch 2 and, on the rumors anyways, more powerful than the current Nintendo Switch, so obviously more games are going to be coming to that. Especially since a lot of developers didn't support the current Nintendo Switch in the beginning, and I'm sure they're kicking themselves in the butt for that. So I'm sure once that Nintendo Switch 2 drops, they're going to be like, wow, this is a gold mine of new players for our game. So they're probably going to put their games on it. The Nintendo Switch 2 versions too. But one company that I think is going to be very interesting to see how it turns out, especially with the past Pokemon games and how those were. All the problems that they have, from graphics to frame rate to some games just not being good in my opinion, all of those things. It's going to be interesting to see what the new Pokemon game is like, especially since it looks like it's shaping up to be a pretty fun game. We haven't seen gameplay yet, but on the promise and the idea of it, it looks like it's going to be a good time. But I think one thing that we've all wondered is, when are we going to see more from this game? Now usually we do see more from a Pokemon game in a Pokemon Presents, that's usually when it is. But we might actually see something from Pokemon ZA very soon. I mean, it's either that or some new Pokemon game is going to be announced, or it's going to be some kind of side content for their mobile games. This is what Nintendo Life has to say. Gamescom will take place in Germany next month, and although Nintendo won't be attending to the event, it seems the Pokemon Company will feature as one of the lineup highlights between 21st and the 25th of August 2024. A spokesperson previously mentioned in April how Nintendo wouldn't attend this year's event. This was followed by an official confirmation in May that the Switch successor announcement would be made within this fiscal year. And that ends in March, of course, so that's why I'm kind of throwing around the idea that maybe we won't have that announcement in September. Maybe Nintendo's going to use September to flesh out even more games and have a really strong lineup for that Nintendo Switch 2 launch. Now, as far as we're aware, Pokemon ZA is the game that Game Freak is working on, so I think there's a possibility that we could see some news from that game at that Gamescom event. And if we do, of course, we'll cover it on the show, so make sure you're subscribed. And moving on to the next one, we do have some interesting rumors on a new Nintendo Switch game coming to the Nintendo Switch, and it is a rumor. It's also coming to the PS5, PS4, and Xbox Series X, according to the Slovakian retailers. Now, the game in question is Tales of Xilia. Now, this find comes over from us on the Gaming Leaks in Rumors Reddit, and this is what the post says. Tales of Xilia remastered leaked by Slovakian retailers. It seems like a listing for Xilia, probably saying that wrong, let me know in the comments section if I am, and they provide links to that as well. There's a link for the PS5, Xbox Series X and Xbox One, and the Nintendo Switch, and they also say the box art also uses the same remaster logo from Symphonia's remaster as well. There's also a disclaimer on there that says the art isn't final. So this is pretty interesting. I think this is probably gonna be one of those things that could be revealed at the September Nintendo Direct. Now, I wasn't too sure if a September Nintendo Direct was gonna happen. You never really know, right? Usually Nintendo does do a September Nintendo Direct. It's been a pretty constant thing in the past couple years, and you can say that for other Nintendo Directs as well. Now, what changes now is the Nintendo Switch 2. We know Nintendo is gonna be having the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement, not the release, but the announcement in the fiscal year of 2024, or 2025, I mean. So that means March. Now, of course, Nintendo has a couple choices here. The first choice is they could do a reveal for the Nintendo Switch 2 in September. That will give them a long time to do a big old campaign for the Nintendo Switch 2 and make sure this thing launches really well for the Nintendo Switch and Nintendo. I know there are some people who are wondering if Nintendo's even going to make a big deal out of this. Is this just going to be one of those things where they just drop it and they don't really make a huge deal out of it, or is it going to be like a whole new console announcement? I mean, this thing would probably last them the next 3 to 5 years, I would assume. I'm assuming this isn't a small thing. I guess we'll see if this Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be even more powerful or not. Again, that's still a rumor, so we don't know if it's confirmed, but more than likely, I would assume so it is, because we already have the OLED version, we already have the Switch Lite. I mean, the only thing you can really change is making it more powerful. I guess you can add more onboard memory and stuff too, but essentially, making it more powerful would be the next step, right? So if they reveal it in September, I think we can see some games revealed alongside it, and this might be one of them. Now, of course, the Nintendo Switch 2 could also not be revealed in September, and it could just be a regular Nintendo Direct, which I have a feeling that's what Nintendo is gonna do. That is my guess. I think we're gonna get a regular Nintendo Direct. Currently, Nintendo's lineup is looking a bit thin, not in terms of the games, because there's some pretty big games lined up, but in terms of releases. I wouldn't even call it thin. I think there's still room for some more games though, so that's why I believe that we could get more games from a September Nintendo Direct. And of course, there's gonna be those games that Nintendo just can't reveal, because then it would be obvious that they're for the Nintendo Switch 2, right? So I do think they're gonna hold that September Nintendo Direct. Especially since they're not coming to Gamescom, and well, usually Nintendo does their own thing anyways, so I guess that wouldn't even happen. But anyways, yeah, I think the September Nintendo Direct is just gonna be one of those regular Nintendo Directs that fill out the next 6 months. Because that's usually what they do. They fill out the next 6 months in these Nintendo Directs every single time. They also usually do announce some games that are a little bit further as well, but essentially the next 6 months. So yeah, that's my guess. Make sure you guys tell me what you think Nintendo is going to do in September. Do you think they're going to do what they usually do, set up the next 6 months, because that does end before March, so I don't see why not. Give the Nintendo Switch one last hurrah in the Nintendo Direct. Well, you guys know what I mean. I think Nintendo's still going to support the current Nintendo Switch. And moving on to the next topic. So we do have some more information on Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. This is what Nintendo Life has to say, especially when it comes to a new Marvel vs. Capcom. Because believe it or not, a lot of companies do use these remasters, ports, and remakes and all that kind of stuff in collections too, to judge whether or not it's worth actually making a new game in the series or not. This is what Nintendo Life has to say. The fighting game community got a huge surprise recently with Capcom's announcement of Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection Arcade Classics. It raised the question if fans might see some new entries in the future, and it seems there's a real possibility. Now, speaking in exclusive with Duxerto, this is what they had to say about that. The development team at Capcom has big dreams. If that were to happen, that would take some time and effort in order to create and release those kind of games, but the short term with what we have to do now is reintroduce these past legacy games to a new audience, to people who may have not had the opportunity to play it, which would be me. I've actually never played a Capcom vs. Marvel game. As you can tell, since I just said the title backwards, it's Marvel vs. Capcom. Let me know if they're worth fighting, or not fighting, getting into. I don't know why I said fighting. What we can at least do now is to show that, hey, this series exists. We love these games, we hope you do too, and maybe in the future, if people get familiarized with the series, then there may be more opportunities to make bigger games. So essentially, they're saying, hey, let's see how this game sells, and then maybe in the future we can make new games in the series. So if you do want a new Marvel vs. Capcom, make sure you pick this up and show them that, yeah, we do want a new game. And speaking of new fighting games, at EVO 2024, a new SNK vs. Capcom was actually announced. SNK vs. Capcom SVC Chaos. Now this is coming to the Nintendo Switch and other platforms, by the way, so if if you have a PS5, PS4, a PC gaming system. I wish I had that. Well, a more powerful one anyways. It's also going to come to those platforms as well, and you're seeing the gameplay in the background right now. Now, this is going to be released on July 22nd, so actually today, because this is uploading on Monday on July 22nd, so you're probably playing it right now, actually. Who knows, maybe you're playing it while you're watching this. But yeah, this is recorded the day before, so it's not out yet. And moving to the last topic of today, the PS5 Pro. So this is something that is kind of interesting to me, because I do have a PS5. I actually managed to get it off of Amazon when it first came up for the pre-orders, the very first batch. I just managed to scroll past IGN's post saying, hey, pre-orders are up, and I got really lucky. It's funny because I think I was working at Target at the time, and I really didn't have that much money in my bank account, so I was like, should I buy this or not? I made a bad decision. I probably should have saved my money, but you know, it worked out in the end, and now I'm a contractor. Definitely a lot better than Target, I'll tell you that. I got some stories about Target. Not good ones, some funny ones. Maybe I'll make a video on that. Maybe like a storytime animation video or something. But anyways, the PS5 Pro has been in the news circulating with a lot of rumors and leaks. Haven't really talked too much about it, but I've definitely been paying attention since I have a PS5. And now one of the latest rumors is that the latest No Man's Sky update has reportedly added support for the PS5 Pro in its game files, according to Okami13_. Now, this is going to increase the water quality, increase minimum resolution from 1296, I don't know why I read it like that, to 1728p. That's 77% more pixels according to Okami. Now, interestingly enough, he says there's no mention of the PSSR or any other Pro. And you got that information from Bomber_that over on Twitter. Now, that's not the only rumor about the PS4 Pro we have. According to XMBGX, he said reliable insider Tom Henderson said he's been hearing rumblings around the PS4 Pro but can't verify them yet. So keep in mind that this is still a rumor. It could not end up happening. I always say these things with the rumors and leaks and all that. This stuff could not happen. I mean, honestly, same with the Tales games. That could just not be anything. I mean, that's actually happened before. We actually have had retail listings and nothing's come of them. So keep that in mind. Now, he also said to a user on a Twitter reply when they asked about the release date of the PS4 Pro, if it's coming this year, and replied with if it releases this year. So he's implying that maybe the PS5 Pro is going to be delayed. Now, when it comes to the PS4 Pro, I'm in the mind of, why do we need this? These games that are already on the console, they don't look any better than they did last gen, in some cases I should say. We still don't have that constant 60 FPS for most games. A lot of games do have lower resolutions, and the problem is these games just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're going to need more powerful hardware to run them, so you're going to have to run them at lower resolution and lower graphics. So eventually there has to be a point where there's like a cutoff, and people are just fine with the amount of hardware they have, and then we can get just really great performance across the board. Or I'll just get a PC. One of the two is going to happen. More than likely upgrading my PC, because honestly it would probably be cheaper anyways. Upgrading, not completely building, just want to be clear on that. But yeah, I mean, it is really annoying that some of these games, and you know what the funny thing is, a lot of these games, sometimes they actually do come out with better versions. Sometimes it's like, oh, an upgrade, give us $10. Usually they're free, but some people do charge. But yeah, and it's like, well, why didn't you just wait until that was ready at launch? Like Dragon's Dogma, I mean, that game launched and had some performance problems if I recall, and they did an update. Why didn't they just release it around the time when that was ready, right? I actually still do have to get that. That's in my back catalog too, along with a lot of other games. But yeah, that's just the PS4 Pro talk. I wanted to talk about it. I do enjoy talking about PlayStation and Xbox stuff. Surprisingly, Xbox, I'm still kind of interested in them. We'll see how those games turn out, especially if those games are good. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about today's news, rumors, and leaks in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.